All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Agent Mastermind Tuesday class. This is probably the largest online gathering of real estate agents in the country, and we want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today. We have an amazing class, and our host, Mr. Scott Hudspeth, is going to be interviewing a young lady, Michelle Oda, and they're going to be talking about how to make sure you're putting people in the right places. Scott draws the analogy of your business as a bus, and how do you make sure you've got the right people in those bus seats? And that's what we're going to be covering today. Scott, my friend, take it away, brother.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to talk about today, and this came up the other day, and it's kind of weird how the timing works. So I'm meeting with a real estate partner of mine, and I asked her the question. I said, hey, what does it look like 12 months from now for you to be happy with your business? And she says, well, I want an assistant, and I want some realtor partners to work with me. And I said, okay. I said, what does your assistant do? And just so you guys know, at the end of the class, I'm going to have an amazing list that I found. It was like the thing goes on it. So like a lot of people ask me, well, what do I have my assistant do? And that's where I'm like, okay, this is the good part. So I asked this real estate partner, and she might even be on the class right now with us. I'm not sure if she is or not. But so I asked her, I said, what do you think, what are you going to have your assistant do? So she starts rattling off email and paperwork and this and that type of thing. And I said, so what are you going to pay this person? And she says, I'm going to pay her $2,500 to $3,500 per month. And I said it's anywhere from $16 to $21 an hour on the high side, depending on their experience. And that's fair, right? Which for most people on the call today, I think is one deal per month. Would most agree with me on that? Can I get a couple yeses on there? Or am I way off base on what I'm thinking here as far as one deal per month? You guys make anywhere from $2,500 to $3,500 per deal on commission. Would that be a safe bet? Any yeses out there? Okay, cool.
Got a few yeses. I haven't had anybody say no on it yet, Scotty. So mostly people are in agreement with that number. And that's, guys, just to understand, that's a roundabout number, kind of an averages. That's saying close. Yep.
Okay. So you as an agent, and here's where the aha moment went for her. So I said, okay, how many hours do you spend with a borrower? Like when you are working with the borrower, and the borrower, you spend anywhere from 10 to 15 hours with the borrower? And she says, God, sometimes way more, but sometimes, I would say on an average. So if you were to go the whole year and you close 24 transactions, on an average, would you say 10 to 15 hours? And she's like, yes. I'm like, okay. So I said, all right. So then when you are working with that borrower and only the borrower, and if all the other stuff is farmed out, you're making anywhere from it's actually $175 to $300 an hour, okay, which is a huge deal. So that's where I thought, okay, why not have somebody like Michelle come on and share with us what this DISC profile looks like? Because, guys, an assistant should not cost you money. It should make you a lot of money, but you got to have the right assistant. So that's where, Paul, give me just 1 second. I'll be right back, okay, brother?
Yes, sir. We did a, golly, I can't remember where I saw this. I think it was at the most recent retreat that we had down here in Palm Harbor a couple of weeks ago. And I looked at some statistics on what some people who have teams in place and what some of the things they were doing were saying, and numbers, and what the cost versus what the production was. And there was the cost of the assistant was something, it averaged anywhere from $10 to $15, and everybody was a little bit different. And you could kind of see that the north was a little higher and the south was a little bit lower. Our cost of living is a little bit lower, so it kind of made sense based on that. But they did the cost of the assistant, and then they broke down what has been gained, or what the monetary value of it was. And the cost of the assistant was somewhere between 10 and 15 an hour, and then the gain was somewhere between $150 and $215 per hour is what was gained. So the overall net was, the average person was making, I think it would broke down to like $192 more per hour in the business on any given day than what they were spending on that assistant to bring them in. So it was the cost versus not having an assistant is far greater.
Okay, so Michelle is dialing in right now. I'm sorry we're having technical difficulty today. So she's going to dial in, and I'm just going to go off my screen, which everybody can see my screen. So she should be here just in a matter of seconds, and then she's going to go through this, and just by me telling her what screen she's on, because it's such valuable information that it's crazy. So I apologize for the technical difficulty today. And she's having some Java issues on her computer, so I apologize.
And Paul's got a great question here. When we refer to a borrower, we are referring to the same thing as a buyer. We try to make sure that we use our agent speak sometimes, and sometimes our loan officer speak comes out on us. So I apologize about that, Paul. But yeah, when we say borrower, we're referring to a buyer, and we try to make sure that we're using the terms that are best understood by you guys. And sometimes we get a little slip there and say borrower instead of buyer.
Correct. Michelle, you there with us?
I'm here. Thanks.
All right.
About that.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So, Michelle, welcome to the call. We appreciate you being here with us all the way from California. So, I was fortunate enough to meet Michelle in Florida a couple weeks ago at our mastermind event, and we got to go to. I was just thankful I got to sit next to her at lunch, and we start talking about profile, and she's like, yeah, and she starts throwing all this stuff at me, and I'm like, oh my God, you're like really good at this. Like it makes sense to you, and she's done her homework on it. So I thought, who better to have on the call than somebody that knows how this stuff. So Michelle, I know you can't see my screen, but right now, actually, I can actually help you with that. Go to if you guys give me just one more minute, go to join.me, Michelle, and I'm going to give you. Have you ever used join.me?
No.
And you will be if you go to join.me, there's nothing to download.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll be able to see my screen. And what you want to type in is, Paul, I appreciate the patience here, brother. You want to type in the animals, THEANIMALS, no spaces, where it says enter your code. And you'll be able to see my screen. We can improvise. Yep, go ahead and enter your name. Yep, go ahead and enter your name and stuff. There you go, and you are with us, my friend.
Awesome. Okay, great.
So she can see our screen. So just let me know when you want to go to the next slide there, okay?
Okay. So I've been using the DISC test to hire my team members, and I think it's such an invaluable tool, and I wanted to share, how I use it and why it's important. Can you go to the next slide, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you. So, hiring any employee for any business is one of the most challenging tasks when you're building your business. Primarily, next slide, please. Primarily because, there's a lot of hiring mistakes and costs associated with it. So a lot of times people hire in haste just to fill, the spot. A lot of times you hire family and friends, and they may not really be typically qualified for that position. There's a lot of costs in terms of hiring somebody by paying for advertisement to, get the people to call. The time that you take to train somebody is a cost. And
absolutely.
Primarily, when you hire and you find out that you have the wrong person, sometimes people are very slow to fire, and that's very costly as well. One of the things that I felt in the past that was hurting me was I was fearful of hiring the wrong person, so I just didn't even hire anybody, and I kept on working a lot of hours.
Yeah, one of the things, Michelle, for us is like we're slow to hire, quick to fire. This is a little bit of a joke that we have, but it's not really a joke. that if I wake up 3 mornings in a row thinking about the person and I'm not sleeping with them, they need to go. So that's our little joke. That, I mean, it's so true though, because if they're literally taking mind space, they're taking, you know. So the other part is I used to be I used to hire literally the first person I liked, which has never worked for me. So yeah, you're going down the right path here for a lot of people, I think.
Mm-hmm. Next slide, please.
Yep.
So when you think about it, we're not typically taught how to hire somebody. It's not in school, but this skill is very invaluable in business. And Robert Kiyosaki, I don't know if you've ever heard of him before,
Absolutely.
but he wrote Rich. He is a big advocate of building your team. And one of his main sayings is business is a team sport. And the average, and I quote, and I want to highlight average, small business owner loses because they do not have a team. So he just feels like any successful business owner is going to have a team.
Absolutely.
Okay, so using the DISC test is a powerful hiring tool to find a great assistant. So we're going to start with the basics. What is the DISC test? The DISC test is a quadrant behavioral model based on the work of Dr. William Marston that examines the behavior of individuals in their environment, so typically for this situation, the work environment, or within a specific, sorry, change it. Okay, so this is a typical DISC graph, and DISC stands for D, dominance. It's an acronym that stands for D equals dominance, so someone who has a domineering personality. I is someone who is very influential. They're very good with people and influencing them. C is compliance. So somebody who is very motivated by what is needed to be accurate and in compliance. And S stands for steadiness or steady. These people are very, very dependable, very loyal, very sincere, and patient. Okay, and in this DISC graph, you'll see on the left-hand side that a D and a C style, personality style, is task-oriented. On the right-hand side, the I and the S's are people-oriented. And above, on the top of the graph, you'll see that there is the D's and the I's are outgoing, and the C's and the S are more reserved.
More reserved, yeah. So
Yeah.
And you might going to cover this, but if I was looking for someone on the front line that's going to talk with people, let me just see if I get this right. So I could have a D and a C, as long as there are more D than there were C. Would that be right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Because they don't have a fear of people, where a C maybe has a little bit of fear of talking with people. They're more detail oriented. They're going to do the paperwork, but they don't really care if they talk to people.
Well, the thing about C's is not that they don't like to talk to people. It's just that they may come off as blunt, or they might be too detailed when they're explaining a situation. So they're not people-oriented. They're more, again, task-oriented. Whereas a D is task-oriented, but they're more outgoing. They're more into getting the job done. So they'll have to talk to people and get things handled. And I is definitely a people person.
Okay.
In our industry, title reps are very high I's usually, because
Hopefully.
they're friendly, right? They're outgoing. They have both sides. They're outgoing and they're very people-oriented. You see how that works?
Yep. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. So again, the DISC stands for dominant, influencing, S stable, and C compliant.
So some examples.
Here's some examples of when you have an assistant and they have more of a high D style. They like to work independently. They're very sufficient in getting the job done. with minimal direction. They do not like to be micromanaged, and they're very good at solving problems. So in this particular style, you might have them be, say, your operations manager. You know, they're below you, but they actually can manage handling the problems that may come up in situations while you're selling or doing, you know, meeting with clients.
Got it. So real quick, who on the call, before we go, like, who on the call knows what they are, has taken the test, and know where you fall more, like, higher than most? Like, are you a D, an I, a C? Has anybody taken the test on the call? So ICS, DI, I do, IS, DI. So there's kind of D and high I. I'm a CS. So my question is, here's where this is so powerful for me. There's no right or wrong answer, right, Michelle? There's no right or wrong answer what you are if you're in business, right?
No, but typically an owner or the head, you know, real estate agent or, you know, branch managers, they're usually the D and the I. They're very rarely the C and the S.
Okay.
Because of the behavioral styles, that is what constitutes the most successful way of being. And if you notice, looking at what you just showed, most people are saying they're D and I, which is really interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it doesn't lie on the effect. Okay. So let's go to the next assistant style, which is an I. So again, an I is very sociable, and they're friendly and approachable. So they're very good at working with customers. They're great at things done. So I don't know if you know anybody who you need to get title to help you, and you ask your assistant who's a high I, and they have already established all the relationships with people in title or escrow, and they, you know, they get favors because they're very good at. Yep. They're also good at handling your initial sales calls. So if you are not, you know, having time to do that, they're a really good person to put in to handle the first initial call and getting everything set up without it having to be you.
Got it.
Okay.
All right.
The next style, which is the S style, they're also really great at working with customers, but they're just more reserved. You know, they're not as outgoing. They're very loyal, and they prefer consistency and stability. So if you provide, you know, a consistent environment where they know what they have to do, and it's, you know, stable, they're not getting thrown at things all the time that's out of the ordinary, and they know exactly what their job description is, then they're really good. S's are really good in this position. They're also good with clients because they avoid confrontation, and they're very good at following direction, so they're going to be easy to work with. That's a good description for them.
Paul, did you have a question?
No, sir.
Okay, cool. All right.
Okay. Next style is a C style, and so they're perfectionists. You know, they're usually your engineers, your accountants, but as your team member, they're the ones who are going to know compliance, the rules and regulations. They're very good at creating systems in your business for you if that's not your forte. Their desks are usually very neat and organized, and they will help you stay neat and organized, or not neat and organized, but stay organized if that's not something that you know, is your strength. So a C is usually very well matched with a high I, because high I's are usually not as organized as a C.
Okay, so what you're saying is I need a C person in my life all the time.
Scott, if you're an I, then you would need, as an assistant, your first assistant should have a more higher C than an S, because you're personable, but maybe on the back end you really need to, you know, they'll help you with getting things, you know, in order and systemized for you.
I just like to run like 100 miles an hour and not have to stop. So yeah, that's to make everything fit. I'm with you.
Yeah. So, you know, just because we're doing this in a very brief manner, there are short YouTube videos that you can watch, and I've clipped those URLs out so you can see them. And, you know, really getting this clear for you is so important, so that you're hiring and understanding the process and the concept. I put those down.
Cool. All right, let's see what we got here. Any questions? Okay, cool. All right, looks like we're good there. Okay.
Okay.
Number one step.
So
Okay.
the DISC test is, I suggest that you take the test. So
Absolutely.
take the test, you're clear about where you're, where you fall in the DISC test. And there are a few websites that you can take. One that Scotty suggests is the Tony Robbins one, where it's free. And the one that I took in like 2006, no, was it 2003, was the second one. And it's a small fee, it's like $35. But either way, taking the test and getting a sense of, where you fall in the DISC test will help you match other people, help you match the assistant by usually having them have the test or the graph, the test show different results. Because you don't want to hire somebody, if you're a high D and a high C, you don't want to hire another D and C. You want to hire somebody else that has different strengths.
Right. That makes total sense.
Unfortunately, I had the DISC graph, and I was going to show mine. But basically, when you take the test, everybody has a blend of the four behavioral styles.
I'm just seeing if I can find my DISC. Let's see.
I can email mine over to you or show mine also, Scotty, if you can't find yours.
Yeah, why don't you send me yours, brother, just in case.
You want me to email it to you?
Yeah, that'd be great.
On its way.
Okay, brother. Thank you. All right.
But in the graph, there's four. There's the D, I, S, and C will be showing in the graph, and there's levels. So you can be a high D, a low D, high I, low I, etc. And in that blend, you can see your primary DISC strength. So you will have one that's higher than most, like I'm a high D, and then my second highest is the C. So I'm a high D, high C. And then my lower scores are an I and an F.
That should be in your
in my inbox
now, Scotty.
Okay. All right, brother. Thank you much. Thank you much. Let's pull that up. We'll see what Paul is. This will be a surprise for me. Here we go.
It's really not going to be a surprise, Scotty. Based on what she's told you, mine's pretty predictable of who I am.
Validate. All right, here we go. All right, download. And we're going to download it?
We probably could just view it.
Sorry, one sec here.
PDF, you should be able to just open it.
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
Okay, so go, I think it's like on that one.
It's on page...
See like page 3 on that particular, oh, here it is right here. So as you can see, let's see, Paul's graph is
This is
high.
Paul. Yep. This is Paul's. Yep.
Okay. So he's an IS, so meaning that he is very relationship oriented. It's surprising that you're a little bit, lower C, Paul, because I know that you're very tech savvy. But anyways,
I act like I'm tech savvy.
I love it.
You're adaptable behavior.
That's wait till you see. Well, actually, the adaptive is even lower on C.
Is it?
Really?
It is.
So, but if knowing Paul, he's so approachable, and you can definitely tell that he would be at least at a high I.
They hit the nail on the head with the I part.
Exactly. But you're very clear and concise, so I can see why the D is actually showing pretty high as well. Like, you have that's pretty unusual to see that many, the 3 profiles being as high as it is. Usually you have 2 and then 2 lower, but yours are about pretty high, more past the 50%. So anyways, that's what a profile looks like, and then once you know yourself, then you can use the test to now look at and it'll tell you like where you could work on things. And a lot of times it's not really the smartest way to actually work on your, things that you're not good at, like being organized or, being patient with things that are tedious. It's better just to hire somebody to do those tasks for you, and you'll enjoy your job a lot more. So,
okay, how about this one? How about this one, Michelle?
Mm-hmm.
See why I need a C?
You need a C. Yeah,
I
definitely.
need a C. Yeah.
Need a C.
So this is my profile.
Oh, okay, I can see it here. Oh yeah. Oh, you're a high D. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your assistant, because I'm a high D, a high C. So my assistant, she's a very high S and a high C, no
Okay.
D, little I. So she's kind of like opposite of me, but I think the C we
Perfect.
share having a high C because I think high Cs, you can't be, it's a little hard when they have to work with you because you drive them crazy, because, they're organized and you're all over the place.
Okay,
Like,
here's the great question by Ted Harris. I appreciate you asking this, Ted. Can a person work to change their disk? Can you? Is it legally possible?
I think you can work on it, but like it says, there's a natural style. There's a natural tendency to be a certain way. But in terms of being, like if you have a low S, I have a very low S, I really try to be more conscious of people in my relationships with them, because especially when I'm working with, my assistant who's a very high S, because relationships are important to them. I wouldn't say D's, it's not important to them, but they want to get the job done, and that's more important than the relationship, to some degree. So you can work on it, and I think the DISC test is powerful because knowing yourself, you know that you have to work on those areas. So
Okay.
hopefully that helps you. Okay.
So
then.
This is probably the tough part, and this is like going to be different. There's no, and here's the thing I want to get across: there's no right or wrong answer to what you are. It's just knowing what you are and knowing what you need. And I'm telling you, when you have that match, it is so amazing how things go, because now you can delegate everything that you are not good at, which is most of the stuff is not people, not people oriented. You agree?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if you took the time and listed out what parts of the sales process you enjoy and that you don't enjoy, then you can look at the tasks that you want to delegate. Because it's usually not the ones that it's a natural behavior for you, natural way of being. So the next slide is an example. So say you're hiring your first assistant, and these are some of the tasks that you want them to do. So manage buyer listing checklists, escrow timelines, and informing clients, managing your schedule and emails, confirming appointments, and set up listing packages. A good candidate in terms of what would show up on their DISC profile is a high C and a high S. The S is because they'll be good with your clients, and the C is because they're organized. They'll work with your checklist. They'll work with your schedule. They'll keep you on task in terms of what you have to do that day. And they'll make sure that when you have a listing package, everything will be in there. Nothing will be missing. And that's usually a combination of a C and an S as a DISC profile. So those assistants would be dependable, consistent, and be good with your clients.
So you're saying C and S is what I'm looking from the DISC profile for most of what if I need somebody to answer phones? Is that person still going to fit?
They can. I mean, an S is, again, relationship oriented. They're good with people, so they're great. But they're just not. They're not going to sell that person. They're not going to be like, if they say, "Oh, well, I'll call back later," they're not going to. Oh, you know what? And make that extra step to get that client
build
in.
a deeper relationship.
Exactly.
Okay. They're going to be great at whatever is asked of them, but they're not going to They're not going to go deep with them, per se, to solidify a relationship you might already have with them.
Exactly. They're good at keeping the relationship consistent. When you're busy, they're great at, taking care of the client. But the initial bringing them in when they don't know you, that's not really their forte.
Got it. Okay. Okay. No, that makes total sense. So, cold call is definitely out of the question. Like if you're calling on, like say if anybody's using Boomtown or Tiger Leads or whatever, calling those leads that are coming through Boomtown is not a CNS type disc profile. You want to do that.
No, usually a
Okay.
higher I or D, you know.
A higher D or I. I is a people person, so with them. And usually, isn't that for the most part? Isn't that typically when I see people are an I? A lot of times, and maybe I just haven't looked at enough, but you probably have a high I and then a C also. Would that be?
Yeah,
Or is
high
that not?
and a C.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you're always going to have some kind of combination of the four. So it's just, but the primary is what you're looking for, and then the secondary, which would be like you said, I and C or an I or an S. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I just thought another example that would be good is if you're a successful listing agent, you're really looking to hire a buyer's agent, you know, where they're going to be taking your buyer's calls, setting up the appointment and showing properties, attending open houses, and managing the database of the new leads. This would be, again, a candidate would have a DISC test and it would show moderately high D or I and S and C. Now, I wanted to mention this because, you know, I was doing research, putting this together. I saw an article on one of the real estate websites, and it said, you know, hiring an assistant you could train them and they can take all your business.
Right.
You're not going to find that with an S or a C. That's not their motivation. But a high D or an I, a very high D or I, that's kind of what they're looking for, their natural progression. And you can work with them, but if you hire somebody who's a very high D, at some point they're going to want to do their own thing. So kind of keep that in mind. So that's
Great
why I
point.
said moderately
That is
high.
a great point. Okay.
Yeah, because it's not so much you have to be afraid of hiring anybody who's going to steal your business. It's just if you have the DISC testing, you'll kind of know.
You'll kind of know if they're going to want to go down that road. If they're a high D, they're going to want to be their own real estate. They're going to want to be their own real estate agent. They're going to maybe want to have a business someday if they're just starting out.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool.
So that they might not be the full-time, you know, team member for a long period of time.
So that brings up a good point. So if I have this person and I don't know their profile and they're a high D like you're saying right here, and I have them in the front lines meeting with all my clients, showing houses with them, I mean doing all that stuff, the front lines, that could be very detrimental to my business, especially if they leave, because everybody's going to know them, nobody's going to know me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, great point.
So, you know, there's like a high D with C, I mean a moderately high D and a C, they might be good at, you know, meeting with clients and taking care of the process, but they're not really that good at getting, you know, the leads, getting the business going. So they might stay with you as your assistant for a long term. They don't want to do the, you know, the pre-work, which is generating, you know, being the rainmaker. So, but a high D would just, they usually want to just try it on their own, you know, have their own. Yeah. So, you know,
powerful tool. Okay.
Yeah, in conclusion, you know, the DISC test is a powerful tool, and it will definitely help you to have a better percentage chance of hiring a good team member. But, you know, there are other processes when you're hiring that you should incorporate when you're, you know, looking to hire the next person. So it's not the end all. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. It is a tool, and there's some other things that you should put into place. And I don't know, Scotty, were you talking about maybe doing that for the next class?
Yeah, here's and we have a little bit of time left, and I think I'm going to go ahead and cover this, Paul. Paul, I'm going to cover the 6 steps that actually the 5 steps that we cover. Well, I didn't think that we would have time, and then I have a little nice bonus for you guys of like everything today. So the 5 steps, and I'm just going to do this live if you guys don't mind, if you guys are cool with that. Paul, any questions come up that we could?
Yeah, the main question is how do I get a copy of the PowerPoint and the recording?
Okay.
So the short answer to that, make sure you just get in touch with the loan professional who invited you today, and they can get you access to the PowerPoint as well as the recording. And Elaine wanted to know if you could show the web addresses to see and early on in the presentation. Michelle had a couple of links so that you could go to, and it would tell you the different personality types. If you could put that up for just a second.
Yeah, and here's what I would do in case, just so you don't have to remember this right here. I would go to Google, and I would. This is what I always do to find it, and I just put in Tony Robbins DISC profile tests.
Or
So
you can also
use the very first one.
you can also put this profile test, and a lot of
It'll come up.
websites
Okay.
come up.
So this profile test, so you'll see a lot of them come up, and I don't know if Tony, but I always put Tony's is right there. It's number 3 on the organic listing there. So I like Tony's. It gives you I don't know, God, how many pages is that thing? It's like huge. It's a long,
30.
long list of stuff. Yeah.
About 30.
Pretty cool to
Scotty,
see.
are you getting ready to show the 5-step process of what we do when we hire someone?
That's what I was going to do, man. Is that okay?
Yeah, because the reason I asked that is Catherine has a killer question. It says, all right, so when do you give the test? Do you interview? Do you narrow down the candidates, or give the DISC test to every first meeting with a candidate? What's the process? Yeah. And Catherine, that's exactly what Scotty's going to kind of go through here real quick for you.
Yeah, so here's what we've done to literally remove hours and hours and hours of interviewing people, because you will get, God, we get, I don't know, a buddy of mine did it and got 75 applications, which is just ridiculous. So we put the ad in Craigslist, Monster.com. We can even share the ad with you if you like. 2 is congratulations, you have made it to step 2 of the hiring process. Call this number and leave a message and answer these 2 questions. Now, those questions could be anything you want. Now, everybody makes it into stage 2 because I want to hear what they sound like on the phone. Depending on what kind of position you're looking for, if you're a real estate agent, you're going to have somebody, they're going to have to be on the phone with somebody, right? So we want to make sure what they sound like, and we want to hear the responses. I think the 2 questions I had were, what do you like most about, and make them as open or as narrow as you want. Real estate. What do you like most about real estate? Jeez.
You got sausage fingers going on today, Scotty.
Yeah. What do you not like about real estate?
Another good one, and our good friend Greg, he asked, why do you want to be a part of this company, and what would you do at this company to make your job better?
Make your this job better. Jeez. All right, so that is so that's step 3, step 2, step 3. These are kind of like all in one. There's a free number that I found, and I can go back and look for it. I don't remember what it was, but if you Google free number, or you use a Google Voice number to leave the recording, and on the recording goes something like this. Hey, congratulations, you've made it to step 2 of the hiring process for the real estate assistant position you applied for on Craigslist or Monster.com. Leave the answer to the 2 questions or 3 questions that were in the email that you received, and we look forward to hopefully talking to you on phase 3 of the hiring process. So what will happen is most of them will fall out on phase 2. More will fall out on phase 3 because you're like, nope, oh my God, no way. Because of the answers that they give, you just kind of know, okay, that's not a good fit, that's not a good fit. And then 4 is what Michelle just covered. Take the profile test. And it's congratulations, you made it to step 4 of the hiring process for the real estate assistant. Please complete this profile test. Click the link below to complete the profile test, and forward your results to realestateassistant@gmail.com, whatever email you want. But we do not call or talk with them before we get to step 4. Now, step 5 is if we like the profile, we invite them in. All right.
Now that doesn't mean it's a done deal right there, does it, Scotty? I mean,
absolutely
basically
not.
that earns them an actual interview. Is that correct?
That earns them an actual interview. And what you'll typically find is you'll go from 25, 30, 40, 50, however many, down to like a good 3 or 4 or 5 because you got a good profile test, you got voicemails back on the phone, you have their resume by then. Like usually you have your resume on the very first one. In the ad we say include your resume, and then answer these 3 questions, and then take the profile test. If we like your profile, we'll invite them in. And then 6 is we might even give them a task. Give them a task. So, for example, the task might be
edit your video.
Together a listing presentation using PowerPoint. And that's it. We don't tell them anything else. We want to see if they can think, if they, put together a listing presentation using PowerPoint, whatever. It doesn't matter what PowerPoint they use, but I want to see where you're at as far as that goes. Now, and guys, if I Google, I'm going to show you guys a little trick here. I showed this a while ago, but it's so cool, and I'll put it up on the screen here. Michelle, I don't think I showed you this. I think I maybe did, but check this out. So if you go to budgerald.com/big surprise, it will take you to, let me just show you. This is so cool, Michelle. Watch this. And don't give them this, of course. So if you go to budgerald.com, it gives you, like if I want a Word document, I put it there. If I want a PowerPoint, I can put it here. If I put in, here's the PowerPoint presentation. So if I put in listing presentation, type, Scotty, type. So listing presentation, it's going to give me PowerPoint, pre-listing presentation, Keller Williams, pre-listing presentation, Keller Williams, new listing presentation, Champion IT, listing presentation, Remax, listing presentation, the quarantine. So it gives you anything you want. So obviously they could go do that, but they're not going to know about that, right? You want them to put it together. So you want them to do some homework to see what kind of results they come up with. And then depending on who does the task, like whatever, can they follow directions? Are they creative? I mean, go deep with these guys. Don't just, because if it was like me and I'm like, hey, I like this person. She was great. He was great, and God, he talks good. We get along. We got chemistry, whatever. That's not always the best fit. Just trust me on that one. So those are the steps we take, and we never deviate from this, because if you skip any one of these, like if you don't have them leave a voicemail, you're going to waste your time. I mean, the time you spend talking with these people is the time you could be making more phone calls to past clients or current clients, or being on that $300 an hour work. It's just not worth it. Now, if you already have an assistant in place, I would have your assistant do all of this stuff and then come to you and go, these are the final 2, final 3, final 4 that I really like, that I think all 4 of them would fit. I need you to step in now. That's pretty much what I would do. What do you think about that, Michelle? And I know you've seen that in Florida when we were down there.
No, exactly. That's exactly what you do.
Yeah. So that's a great 6-step, 5-step. I don't know. There's probably only 3 or 4 steps there. Now, if you're wondering what do I have an assistant do, here's a little. I'm going to give you this link here in just a second. But here's what I would recommend: is we do this little exercise, and then we'll finish with this, and I'll finish with the link of like what to do. But I'm going to go slideshow from the beginning, and whoops. So here's what we do, and I'm telling you guys that this is so important. You draw 3 circles, all right? And these 3 circles are going to intersect. And I can't tell you, I've seen this 5 years ago, and it is unbelievably so powerful. And Paul, you know what I'm talking about, okay? So one of the circles is it drives my economic engine, makes me money. This one is I love doing it. I love meeting with clients. I love talking through the solutions. I love figuring out why they're moving, how many bedrooms. I just love that part of it. And they say that I'm really good at it, or I'm good at it, okay? And if it fits in all 3 of these, that's exactly what you should be doing, which is right here.
The
Right inside
triad
the
of awesomeness. With a
triad,
good
we call it
circle.
the triad of awesomeness. I'm not kidding, man. It is the most, because if you're doing nothing but this and you farm out, delegate, reduce, delete everything else, your life is so much fun. I cannot even tell you, and it comes at the expense of you just not getting out of your own way most of the time. I'm not trying to be mean, but most of us will spend time doing stuff we hate for the rest of our lives, and it's like life is too short. I mean, we've had classes on this, that it's just way, 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 way too short to spend time doing stuff that we hate. So find somebody else that likes doing that stuff that you can go out and focus on the $200 to $300 an hour work. I mean, and I'm telling you, it's so much fun. I want to just say, go focus on the $100 to $300 work, and the budyurl.com/perfect assistant. Check this out. So if I go there, this list, I found this. I'm just going to that big surprise, budyurl.com/perfect assistant, and this list is just phenomenal. So go through here and check off everything that you hate doing, that you don't want to do. It's not $100 work. So let me just download this real quick. I probably still have it on my drive, but I want to just open it up here. All right. So the perfect real estate. Whoops, I downloaded the wrong one. So you know what? Scratch that. I uploaded the wrong one. So I'm going to. Okay, you're not going to want that.
That's not the one you want.
That's not the one you want. Holy smokes. Okay, where is it at? Real estate assistant. Okay, it's right there. So let me just change this real quick. Let's see. Upload.
Edit.
Whoops.
No. You can't edit because that'll take you into the document to edit.
Oh, I'm into it. So download.
You're going to have to upload a new one and then change the link on Bud URL.
Okay. Real estate assistant duties. Here we go. It won't change it right there? Won't keep it the same?
No.
I think
it's
the
URL, because you're putting a new document in, so the URL is different.
Let me see if real estate assistant duties. Let's see if this works. So, perfect. Hey, it worked, man.
Nice. There you go.
All right, so it'll work now. So here it is. Schedule and organize. I mean, this list goes on and on and on and on. It's just amazing how crazy this list is. So let's see. Maintain routine contact with graphic designs, prints. Keep track of production, billing, shipping. Enter new contact names. Track and execute mailing schedule. Create marketing materials. Respond to phone requests. Follow up on marketing materials. Carry out clerical disk. I mean, general office duties. Manage incoming calls. Prospecting. Listing support. Closing coordination. Website maintenance.
Did you have one of your assistants put this together, Scotty?
No, I found this.
This is nice. This is good.
This is unbelievable. Managing incoming calls, priority requests, personal response, information response, event planning, company volunteer efforts, administrative duties. I mean, it's just, so there's literally a sheet after sheet after sheet of stuff that you can have that go, okay, one is I'm not doing it. What is it costing me because I'm not doing it? How much would it cost me to put someone in place to do it that will yield 3,000 times the amount of money that I'm paying them to do it? That's the type of questions how do we write small checks to cash big checks? Because, guys, how crazy would it be to have one more deal per month in your pipeline that was closing every single month? One deal. And so one deal would allow you to afford you the freedom to go out and do the prospecting, the calling the past database, the hanging out with friends, building deeper relationships with friends, family, and coworkers, just all kinds of high income producing activities. Because you guys all have heard me say stuff about the reticular activator. If you're not connecting and engaging with people when they first start buying a home on a weekly basis at least, you're missing so much in revenue because they're thinking about it. They're seeing every for sale sign. They're hearing every conversation that happens when it has to do with mortgage and buying and selling and their friends and family and coworkers. You need to be in front of them, building deep relationships with them, get to know their dog's name, cat's name, where they live, where they party, what they do for fun. Those are the stuff that you literally will make you so much money you cannot even believe it. So, Michelle,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here today and sharing with us the DISC profile test. And do not skip this part, please, please, please. It'll save you agony. It'll save you grief, time. Time is money, big money, actually, for you guys in the real estate business. So, Michelle, any last words for anybody looking to hire a new assistant, except for do it now?
You once you work with the system and you hire the system that fits the task that you need, your life will become more like organized, calm. You'll enjoy your job a lot more. It's just a whole different way of doing business, and you have to try it to experience it. But when you have the right assistant, it's so powerful because you enjoy working.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So just as a recap, this is so important here, and Carmen said great stuff. It's so true. Just use the DISC to hire, but wish I would have thought to give them a task. Absolutely, give them a task, and say, hey, if it takes you, and give them a time limit. Say, hey, okay, it's Tuesday, it's 12 o'clock. I'm talking to you at 12 o'clock. By Friday, I want this PowerPoint. Either email it to me. In fact, have it emailed to me, but I want it by noon on Friday, and then I'll make my decision by 4 o'clock on Friday who I'm going to hire to do this job. So add in the Craigslist, Monster.com. There's a bunch of places you can write ads. Congratulations. Have them call and leave a voicemail. Do not talk with them. Trust me on this. It's just not necessary. Call this number. Take the profile task. If you like all three of those and you like their resume, then, of course, talk with them. Get them in there to have them do a task. So, all right. Okay, so Jill, a little broad on the question. How do you do that? How do you know what she's talking about, Paul?
There was one before that talked
so
about,
she was asking, her original question was, when you're hiring a virtual assistant, maybe an assistant from the Philippines, do you do the DISC test with them also? And from our own experience, what we do here is we do not do a DISC test with our virtual assistants. However, we do assign a task to be completed from our applicants prior, step 2, step 3, step 4 sort of thing. But with our virtual assistants, we don't, because we're hiring a very specific duty, we're not very concerned with getting along so well in the office, making sure we're a good personality fit. There's some things that we're not as concerned with when we're hiring a virtual assistant, so we don't do a DISC test with them. However, we do have a step process. You've made it to step 2, please provide us this, and depending on what it is that we're hiring for, if it's a techie position, we'll send a techie type task. If it's a phone call, somebody that's going to be making calls, we'll require that they send us a recording of their voice of some sort.
Very cool. Very cool. Michelle, thank you so much. Sorry about the technical difficulty at the beginning. I really appreciate hanging in there and not giving up on me. So
Thanks,
and it was so great meeting you. So.
It's very cool getting a chance to meet you, Michelle. Guys, girls, again, if you'd like a copy of today's class with Michelle's presentation as well as the PowerPoint presentation, simply contact the loan professional who invited you today. They'll be able to get you access to the recording as well as the presentation materials. And Scotty's throwing up the facebook.com/groups/Agent Mastermind is a private group for real estate agents only. For those of you on the call, it's a place for you guys to go and exchange ideas, exchange things that you're working on, get a little help, ask for people to like your fan pages and play things like that. All of the panelists that are on the call, myself, Scotty, we all answer questions. If it's a question that is a little more technical or needs the expert to answer it, we are always monitoring those pages and always willing to help as much as we can.
Excellent. Michelle, again, thank you so much for spending time with us today and sharing your knowledge on the DISC profile. And it's always a pleasure meeting new people, and hopefully maybe I'll come up there and see you next time.
Yeah, definitely.
California. Alrighty. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much. Hope you had a great weekend, and make the best of every situation you have. And I wish you so much success. We'll see you right here next week. Got some good stuff coming up in the weeks to come, and look forward to seeing everybody in the class. Be safe, and have a great day, everybody. See you, Paul.
Have a great one, buddy. We'll see you soon. Thanks again, Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
Bye.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.